Nice. We're live. Cool. So I'll just open up with like, tell us about yourself, what you're doing now, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I'm Nina Hayes. I went to the College of Charleston undergrad. I majored in finance and economics. Currently, I'm actually starting a new job next week. So we'll be starting working at a tech firm in the buy now, pay later space, and I'll be working on their internal capital markets team, so helping with their like funding sources for their loans. Yeah.
Sweet. Super cool. So pretty much how'd you get to where you are today? Like, when you were in college, what were you majoring in? And then like, did you have any like major pathway changes on the way to where you are right now?
Yeah. So I majored in finance and economics. Didn't really know what I wanted to do in finance until like my sophomore year. I joined an investment program at my school, which was kind of like big reason why I went into the career of finance when I started off. And so it was an investment program in school. I had two internships also in college. One, I worked at the FDIC, so government agency, doing like bank field tours to different community banks. Really interesting. And then I also worked at Fidelity Investments and worked on their fixed income research team. Both of those were interesting experiences, but didn't love them. So after I graduated, I joined Raymond James financial institution down in Florida, where I'm based now. And I joined their rotational program for sales and trading. I did that for a year. I rotated on two different sales and a trading desk there, and then ended up in a full-time job in equity capital markets there. So I worked on IPOs, follow-on markets, a lot of stuff with the stock market. Really interesting. Worked there for a year and a half. And then again, just recently, I left there to go to now more of a tech-based company. I've kind of had my whole career in finance and kind of wanted something a little different, a culture change, work in a more like high-paced environment, smaller team. So yeah, I kind of making this move right now. And yeah, start next week. So
Nice. Yeah, super cool. Lots of different jobs and different experiences, I'm sure. Kind of following up the that whole progression in your career now, what would you say you see a similar background in education, like let's say major or kind of similar backgrounds, or is it more diverse in how people get into finance like that?
yeah, I'd say in the finance job I just left, it was a lot of finance majors. Occasionally there were like an accounting major, or maybe an econ major, but all kind of in the general world of finance. And then kind of the company I'm going to, being that it's like a tech firm, there's a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of more like engineering backgrounds. My team's more finance backgrounds, but kind of I think brings a little bit more of a diverse group of individuals instead of like traditional finance where it's
Yeah,
mostly like finance majors.
yeah, totally. That's interesting because it's like you'd think, it seems somewhat specific, but you know, diversity, it's sweet. All right, sorry, I'm just looking. Let's see. So I know you said you're like switching into a new organization, but could you tell me about like your current job's like corporate culture? Like how is that, and how was it transitioning into that from past jobs?
Yeah. So kind of start with the past job. That was a very like get in the office at 9 o'clock. You work kind of until work is done. A lot of people assimilated to like investment banking, which is like you could work really long nights if something client needs something. So the culture was very much like in office, showing face. Younger people kind of pay their dues, spend the long nights working on stuff. So that's very different than the job that I'm going into. The job now is a fully remote position, so I'm going to work from home every day. The whole company is fully remote too. Um, they have some like in-person stuff a few times a year, but different in that way. And it'll be a lot more kind of in-person, meeting with clients. So more on the externally facing instead of the job before it was kind of like was an analyst job, so put your head
Yeah.
down and instead of like talking to people. So
Are you excited about the fully remote versus the kind of face to face, like grind it out culture? Or
I
is it?
am. That was kind of a big reason why I
Yeah.
left, just to kind of embrace the fully remote kind of world that we're in now. Definitely a little nervous just to figure out kind of like working at home every single day and not going into an office, but I think will give me a lot more like flexibility and work-life balance. So
Yeah.
excited.
Totally. Sounds awesome. Fully remote's cool. Which organizations kind of within your sphere still, but not your specific organization, would you consider or like have a lot of respect for and how they're run?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, something that I mean, kind of broad, but kind of why I'm moving into the more tech space is that I really enjoy the like I mean, just everybody I was interviewing with, like they're very smart people and they really like care about growing and challenging things. Where I think in finance, it's not, at least the organization I was in, it was very much like this is the way we've done things and we'll continue to do them. We're a 200-year-old company instead of, a lot of tech firms are like really new companies. So I really like that, the way that a lot of other tech firms run and kind of how they have to, just in the terms of like you either like got to grind out or you're not going to become a company. So yeah, a lot of respect for companies most recently that have just kind of like done that and have succeeded really well. So
Yeah, cool. Well, bringing it kind of back to why you're here in the first place, for like college stuff, and this is my last question for you is if you were a college student again, what would you have done differently to prepare for the careers you are in now?
good question. I'd say it's kind of like two parts. I'm really glad that I had a lot of different experiences in college. I think I wish I could have gone back maybe earlier in my college career, maybe like freshman, sophomore year, and like spent a lot more time talking to people who worked in different industries and jobs. Because I think, especially in finance, like it's very much like there's a few different tracks that people think about, and you don't really know that there's so many other types of jobs or like areas that you can work in with a finance degree. So I definitely would kind of like wish I would talk to more people just to understand like what are you doing, what does your job environment look like, kind of like what different paths there that could be besides like the one that everybody thinks of. So
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. Well, thanks for doing this interview. You had great insights. And yeah, I'm gonna
Cool.
end the recording however I do that. Sweet.